Hello and welcome guys to a new episode on SportPredictorFanatic. Today we're going to predict the matches that are going to be played today, the 1st of October. And of course there are 9 Champions League matches today. What we're going to do is we're going to predict them. Then we're going to get into the betting of them, like the betting part of this video. And then I'm going to end the video. So yeah, let's just start straight away with the first matchup, which is going to be Salzburg against Brest. Salzburg lost their first matchup in the Champions League 2 weeks ago with a 3-0 against Sparta Prague. Since then, they drew in the Austrian League against Tirol, then won 4-0 in the Austrian Cup against Wiener Victoria, and last weekend won with 2-0 against Austria Vienna. Brest, of course their opponents, did win their first Champions League match with 2-1 against Sturm Graz. Since then they got a win over Toulouse, but last weekend they lost 3-0 against Auxerre. Salzburg and Brest have never ever played each other in the past, and I mean, it's an interesting matchup. Salzburg are yet to lose this season at home, while Brest are yet to even win or draw this season in a way, in competitive matches away this season. I think Brest do have slightly the better team than Salzburg, but Salzburg are like in a better form. Because of that, I pretty much expect like a really close matchup. But after this weekend's bad display from Brest, I'm actually going to go for a Salzburg win. Then we have Stuttgart playing against Sparta Prague. Stuttgart lost the first matchup in the Champions League 2 weeks ago with a 3-1 against Real Madrid, although they did look pretty alright there. Since then, Stuttgart won 5-1 against Dortmund and did unfortunately draw last weekend with 2-2 against Wolfsburg. They did get a red card though when it was 1-1 after I think 60 minutes or something. Then came behind as well, but with their man still managed to make the equalizer in the 97th minute. So still a pretty good display from 10 men. Sparta of Prague did win their first Champions League match with 3-0 against Salzburg. Since then, a win against CSKA Budějovice in the Czech League, but last weekend they lost 3-2 against Sigma Olomouc. With that, Sparta now lost their first match this season. Sparta and Stuttgart have ever played each other in a friendly match in 2023, where Sparta won the matchup. I think Stuttgart, of course, for sure have like the better team and have been looking all right this season, and they haven't lost at home yet. Of course, Sparta also haven't lost away yet either, but I think Stuttgart, because they have like the better team, I think they will secure the dub at home. Then we have Arsenal playing against Paris Saint-Germain. Arsenal drew their first Champions League match with 0-0 against Atlanta. Since then they drew against Manchester City 2-2 in the league, of course. Then in the EFL Cup won a 2-1, 2-1 I think against Bolton. And last weekend they won 4-2 against Leicester, although they did seem breakable there as they were like 2-0 up, then became 2-2, and then in the last few minutes they scored 2 goals. So came away good there. But with that, Arsenal this season are still unbeaten. Paris Saint-Germain won the first Champions League match with 1-0 over Girona. Since then, they had a draw against Stade Reims in the league, but last weekend won 3-1 against Rennes as well in the league. With that, also they are still unbeaten this season. Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain have played each other 4 times in the past. The first time was in 2007 for the Emirates Cup, where Arsenal won. In 2016, they played each other twice in the Champions League group stage, with both ending in a draw. And then in 2018, they played each other in a random tournament where Arsenal won. I think Arsenal do have the better team here, although Paris Saint-Germain are also playing pretty darn good the last few months. No, this month and last month. But I think Arsenal, with their creativity and just their class, will get through the defense there. Will also defend themselves really well. And with that, we'll get the W. So I'm going for an Arsenal W there. Then we have Barcelona playing against Young Boys. No meme there. No meme. No Young Boys. Barcelona lost their first Champions League match with 2-1 against Monaco after an early red card, of course. After that, they won in the league against Villarreal and Getafe, but last weekend also lost for the first time this season with 4-2 against Osasuna, which was deserved. Although there must be said, I think Barcelona didn't strong with their strongest squad. Yeah, and Osasuna, of course, are a really strong team at home. Young Boys also lost their first Champions League match with 3-0 against Aston Villa. Since then, they had a win in the league against Winterthur, but last weekend also lost with 1-0 against Grasshoppers. Barcelona and Young Boys have never played each other in the past, and of course, I think Barcelona are the favorites here. Yeah, but yeah, I think Barcelona only having like one at home and Young Boys really struggling this season only makes this like more in towards Barcelona. And I think, yeah, Barcelona win easily. Easy. Then we have Leverkusen playing against AC Milan. Bayer Leverkusen won the first Champions League match with 4-0 against Feyenoord. Since then, they had a draw against Wolfsburg and last weekend a draw as well against Bayern Munich. AC Milan lost their Champions League match with 3-1 against Liverpool. Since then, they won against Inter, but last weekend also won with 3-0 against Lecce. Leverkusen and AC Milan have never played each other before. And I think this could like actually be a really close matchup here. Both teams are looking great at the moment, although I do think Leverkusen are looking a bit better. With of course also a draw last weekend against Bayern Munich. And they have only lost one match this season, which was against Leipzig, which of course is like no shame. AC Milan also haven't won an away match yet this season. Of course, they did win their match against Inter, but I mean, I don't really count that as playing away as they are both in the same stadium. So basically, because of that, I'm actually going to go for Leverkusen as I think they are also the stronger squad. Then we have Borussia Dortmund against Celtic. Dortmund won their first Champions League match with 3-0 against Club Brugge. A match where Brugge was surprisingly the better team until the goal of Dortmund. Since then, Dortmund lost against Stuttgart 5-1, but last weekend won against Bochum. Despite coming 2-0 down, I think they came back to a 4-2. Celtic did also win their first Champions League match with 5-1 against Slovan Bratislava. Since then, a win in the League Cup against Falkirk, and last weekend a win in the league with 6-0 against St. Johnstone. Celtic with that have won every game since the start of the season, so they are looking good. Dortmund and Celtic have faced each other 4 times in the past, with 2 times in 98-7 in the UEFA Cup, where both won one game, but Dortmund had the better goal difference and with that went through. The other 2 times were in 1993, also in the UEFA Cup, where Dortmund won both games. Dortmund that year also became the runner-up of the UEFA Cup. And of course, I do think Dortmund do have the better team here. But the form Borussia Dortmund is in right now is like, it doesn't guarantee anything at the moment. Like if Bochum can score two, why couldn't Celtic do that? I mean, I think they are able to do that. And if Celtic then can defend better than Bochum, then you never know. But of course, different game, different story. And I think Dortmund do have the class in their team, and with that will get the win. Then we have Inter Milan playing against Red Star Belgrado. Inter drew their first Champions League match with 0-0 against Manchester City. Since then, they've lost to AC Milan and last weekend won 3-2 against Udinese. Udinese, of course, is a team who are doing a very good this year in the Serie A. So no easy win there, and 3-2 is a perfectly good result. Red Star Belgrado lost their first Champions League match with 2-1 against Benfica. Since then, they've won against Partizan in the league and last weekend won 2-1 against Željezničar Pančevo. Inter and Red Star Belgrado have played each other twice before. Both were in 1981 in the European Cup quarterfinals. The first match ended in a draw, but the second one was won by Inter, and with that, Inter went on to the semi-finals, where I think they eventually stranded as well. Inter, I think, of course, have the better team, are more experienced, are expected to win this matchup. Although they haven't looked the best this season, I still think they are too strong for Red Star Belgrado and will get the W. Then we have a PSV playing against Sporting Lisbon. PSV have started a Champions League campaign with a loss of 3-1 against Juventus. Since then, they've won against Sittard and last weekend won 2-0 against Willem II as well. Sporting have won their first Champions League match with 2-0 against Lille. Since then, they've won against AVS in the league and last weekend won 3-0 against Estoril in the league as well. With that, Sporting are on an 8-match winning streak at the moment. PSV and Sporting have played each other 3 times. Once was in 2016, a club friendly match where PSV won the match. Then 2 times in 2019 in the Europa League group stage, where both times the home team won. I think Sporting have got the stronger team here, I'm going to be honest. And PSV haven't looked as good as their season start. But yeah... And also they didn't look like too convincing against Juventus in the Champions League match. So yeah, I think Sporting are at the moment the better team and will get away with a W here in Eindhoven. Then we have Slovan Bratislava playing against Manchester City. Slovan Bratislava have lost their first match in the Champions League with 5-1 against Celtic. Since then, they've won against Rosenborg in the league, then once against Belusa in the cup, and last weekend won 4-2 against Michalovce in the league. Manchester City drew their first match in the Champions League with a 0-0 against Inter Milan. Since then, drew also against Arsenal in the Premier League. In the FL Cup, they did win against Watford, but last weekend they got an other draw against Newcastle. With that, City are though still unbeaten this season. Bratislava and Manchester City have never played each other in the past, so this will be a first. And of course, I think Manchester City will win this matchup. They have like one of the greatest teams, while Bratislava don't. Yeah, I think if Manchester City at this moment face like a bigger team, they might have been in trouble. But I think, yeah, this one they should handle pretty easily. Then, let's get into the betting part. I'm going to put my money on 5 matches. Those are going to be Salzburg to win their matchup. The odds for that is 1.83. Stuttgart to win their matchup. The odds for that is 1.45. Sporting to win their matchup. The odds for that is 2.75. Arsenal to win their matchup. The odds for that is 1.78. And Leverkusen to win their matchup. The odds for that is 1.72. With that, I'm going to put like normal on the doubles and the trebles. Normally I do €10 in total, but I'm going to €5 in total for separate Champions League days and everything. So what I did is 0.25 on trebles, 0.25 on the doubles. With that, in total, €5. So yeah, let me know what you think of my choices. But at least this is what I'm thinking. But for now, I want to thank you all for watching. Please have a great day, and I will see you